Hi, I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of Rick and Morty Season 3, Episode 6, Rest and Ricklaxation. This was such an enjoyable, classic episode of Rick and Morty, and I'm gonna dig into all the specific reasons that make it great. Subtle jokes in the animation, what this episode is saying about Rick and Morty as human beings, and yeah, the dark, messed up shit we all loved. And real quick, because we can't make all these videos for free, guys, this video was sponsored by our friends at Quid. Quid is an app that allows you to drag and drop stickers onto text message threads, including Rick and Morty themed ones. They also have Rick and Morty themed Funko Pop figures, and we're gonna do a giveaway for those. I'll get to those details later. Yeah, sound good, you beautiful bastards? Cool, let's just jump into this episode. So these opening images condense an entire Rick and Morty adventure into a couple minutes. And then the story shows us something we almost never see, their immediate, vulnerable, emotional response to the stress of this adventure. Maybe it's just me, but this reminded me a lot of that Real Fake Doors commercial in Rick's Minutes.
Get on down to Real Fake Doors, that's us. Fill a whole room up with them.
Like you expect it to be over, but then we awkwardly follow the people back to their cars, to their real, authentic lives, and then you realize, oh wait, this is all part of it. So why are we seeing this? The show uses this introspective detour to set up a core thematic question that cuts to the heart of the series. What is toxic behavior exactly? According to Rick, a person's toxic behavior is whatever they hate the most about themselves.
How could that detox machine know the difference between healthy and sick for everything that goes through it? It can't. It must be by the individual's own definition of toxicity.
So in Morty's case, his purely toxic self is weak, scared, lacking confidence, and restrained by his own self-hatred.
I think my voice is annoying.
It is, and it's your best quality.
So true.
Meanwhile, toxic Rick is narcissistic,
I'm surrounded by inferior pieces of
emotionally abusive,
Oh, we're in hell, aren't we, Rick?
You're so stupid, Morty. You're an idiot.
he has a god complex,
If God exists, it's f***ing me.
he's a sexual deviant,
Believe me, I got a lot more use out of that thing than he ever did.
and Rick's toxic world is made out of snot, because that was the most recent toxic behavior that he expressed guilt over.
Try swallowing the giant ball of snot that's dangling around in the back of your throat. It's disgusting. Nobody wants to hear that. Man, did you hear me bite that guy's head off? Jeez, I really need to chill.
But healthy Rick discovers that toxic Rick is also capable of love, a weakness that he actually uses against his bizarro self.
My entitlement, my narcissism, my crippling loneliness, my irrational attachments.
So Rick is suggesting that love is a form of toxic behavior. This is actually something that we've heard him bring up before back in the first season.
Listen, Morty, I hate to break it to you, but what people call love is just a chemical reaction that compels animals to breed. It hits hard, Morty, then it slowly fades, leaving you stranded in a failing marriage. I did it. Your parents are gonna do it. Break the cycle, Morty. Rise above. Focus on science.
But then Rick also concedes that love is an essential toxin. As this episode progresses, healthy Morty and healthy Rick are monsters of a different kind. Like, sure, healthy Rick is kinder and more optimistic, and he wears a seatbelt for the first time ever, but he's also fully capable of killing Morty. Normally, protecting Morty is Rick's one morally redeeming quality. And yeah, healthy Morty is the worst. He is the embodiment of all the obnoxious tendencies of detox bros who think they have all the answers but are actually psychopathic. Like, he's totally one-dimensional and he speaks in these lame jokes.
That I have a pretty bad case of haven't taken you to dinner-itis. Might be fatal.
He also dominates conversations without truly listening.
So excited to finally have dinner with you. You know how long I've been waiting for this? It's like, whew. I wish you'd shut up though. Just kidding. You know, you're so quiet. What's wrong? Well, why don't you tell me about yourself? What's the atmosphere like on planet Jessica? Where's the equator? What are the vacations and the holidays? I mean, you know, are they at the same time? Talk to me.
He also quotes meaningless pop songs as if they're profound.
Life is a highway. We're gonna ride it all night long.
And then he does that thing where he like severs his relationship to technology, downgrading to a flip phone like he's better than everyone else, but then hypocritically returns to a smartphone just a few weeks later. So really, Morty needs his insecurities. They're a core element to his identity, and without them, we hate him as a person. So returning to that big question, what is toxic behavior? Well, according to this episode, toxic behavior is what makes us human. It's the monster inside us that we obviously can't let take over completely, but a monster that we need to maintain a balance. Okay, let's actually jump back to this scene at the top of the episode. You may have noticed that it's almost a shot-for-shot repeat of a past episode opening, Rick Potion number 9. So this whole episode is structured kind of like a thematic sequel to that episode, the way that the Vindicators episode was a sequel to the Me Seeks and Destroy episode. So let's actually get into all the ways that this episode connects to past episodes with our segment, Callback! And let's start by talking about the other parallels to Rick Potion number 9. Both episodes center around Morty's crush on Jessica, and in both episodes he gets close to getting the girl, but then he realizes it's not exactly what he imagined it would be. Both episodes bring up Jessica's boyfriend, Brad. Actually, when healthy Morty randomly catches a football and throws it back, I feel like that could be a reference to Brad's stupid-ass selling point in the previous episode.
I throw balls far.
And of course, both episodes feature the whole world being transformed into a toxic nightmare. Healthy Rick even kind of alludes to the last time.
It's not our place, to pick and choose which world gets saved from what apocalypse.
Okay, there are also a few past one-off characters who make cameos this episode. There's Father Bob, the phony priest from Get Swifty. And then in this episode, one of Jessica's friends is Trisha. She's the girl who stole Summer's boyfriend Ethan last episode. There are also some background characters who pop up again, like that veiny-headed guy and Summer's old band friend Nancy. Now, last episode we learned that Rick has these cybernetic implants like Inspector Gadget. And by the way, the reason he has those might be because remember back in the season premiere, he swapped his consciousness into a new Rick. But in this episode, the Groin System 6000 might be an example of another type of cybernetic part that's in his belt buckle. Actually, I think that could be a reference to the belt buckle gun that's in the movie From Dusk Till Dawn. And now that Healthy Rick has used this DNA dart to implant his own DNA and incubate inside Toxic Rick, bursting out into this new clone of himself, I'm guessing that he doesn't have those cybernetic implants anymore, and he's back to normal. I think my favorite callback this episode was the show that Summer's watching on TV, The Days and Nights of Mrs. Pancakes. Remember, that's the soap opera that Mr. Goldenfold and Rick love. It was introduced in the second episode.
You don't know me.
Next week on The Days and Nights of Mrs. Pancakes.
You don't know me.
Then let me get to know you, damn it.
Uh-oh, spoilers!
The episode that Summer's watching here looks like it could be part of the same episode.
You do.
Okay, moving on. This whole opening adventure that Rick and Morty go on probably seemed a bit familiar to you.
There's a plasma shard in the Abadongo cluster. A princess has it. If I get it, I'll be awesome.
Yeah, this is the basic plot of Star Wars, where the old man and the kid go off to rescue the princess. Let's actually explore all of the pop culture influences on this episode in this segment that we call Under the Influence. So, following through with this Star Wars influence, the interior of this mothership that Rick and Morty destroyed looks like the interior of the second Death Star from Return of the Jedi. Also, this victory ceremony is a pretty clear homage to the rebellion ceremony at the end of A New Hope. And this whole premise of Rick and Morty having to fight their toxic selves is a pretty common premise in sci-fi, fantasy, and comics. There, of course, is the character Bizarro, the toxic form of Superman. There are also versions of the Hulk and Venom comics, where the two competing identities have to clash with each other. Actually, speaking of Venom, the way that Morty annoyingly struts down the hallway, pointing at girls, yeah, this is a pretty clear nod to emo Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3. There's even this bit with the jazz music, with Morty doing this stupid spin and flip and slide, just like Peter does in the jazz club. And there's a couple other sci-fi influences on this episode that I caught. Healthy Rick receives this creepy transmission on his phone from the toxic world. This is also a common sci-fi trope. Specifically, it could be a reference to Stranger Things, where characters receive these staticky, haunting messages on their phones and radios from the upside down dimension, which, yeah, has a similar appearance to the toxic world. And then the DNA dart that the Ricks use to incubate themselves in these new bodies and burst out of them could be based on the xenomorph technology from the Alien movies. Notice how this new Rick clone grows into an adult version super rapidly, just like the xenomorphs do. Now, I also really love this visual joke of the toxic versions of the people in Salad Works running over to Sbarro's, and then the person in Sbarro's running out to eat out of the dumpster. I feel like actually it could be a nod to that great Simpsons gag. Remember when the churchgoers and the patrons at Moe's swap places when the apocalypse arrives. Now, when healthy Morty becomes this douchey stockbroker, there's actually a few iconic Wall Street bros that are influencing this persona. Notice his speech when he closes the deal. This is a pretty parallel scene to Leo DiCaprio's sleazy sale in The Wolf of Wall Street. I also like how Morty uses his past fawning over Jessica as a metaphor in this new sales pitch.
This stock is a beautiful redhead, recently single, not looking to date, but ready to fall in love, and fate has put her locker 2 down from yours, Dwayne. 2 lockers down!
Actually, during dinner with Jessica earlier, Morty drums the table a lot like how McConaughey does in The Wolf of Wall Street. And he answers the phone the same way Barney Stinson, Neil Patrick Harris, does in How I Met Your Mother.
Go for Morty.
And then Rick says this line to Morty.
Sorry, tiny American psycho.
That, of course, is a reference to the Christian Bale film American Psycho. And yeah, the character of Patrick Bateman is definitely influencing Morty here. There's also a quick reference to The Matrix.
Blue pill or red pill? What'll it be, bro?
And then Rick has these awesome drones that assemble into a small Voltron robot. I love that they even included the sound effect.
You can't keep the drones.
Now, there's one more pop culture reference that I really love from this episode. But before I get to that, I want to take a quick moment here because, again, guys, we can't just do these videos for free. So, big thanks to Quid for sponsoring it. Quid is an awesome new app where you can collect cool stickers, cards, and Funko Pop figures for free all on your phone. From hot shows like the just released Game of Thrones, Rick and Morty, Steven Universe, Bob's Burgers, Powerpuff Girls, and Family Guy, cult hits like Breaking Bad and Star Trek, and from games like Five Nights at Freddy's and Fallout. You can drag and drop these stickers in iMessage. And if you collect Funko Pop stickers, yeah, Quid has those too. Actually, we're gonna do a giveaway. If you follow us on Twitter and then share this video on Twitter with the hashtag #NewRickStars, we will pick a couple of you at random and send you free Funko Pop Rick and Morty figures. Now, some of these stickers, cards, and toys are super rare, so good luck. But the good news is that you can meet cool people on Quid, look at their collections, and trade with them just as easily and quickly as chatting with each other. And in a new feature, you can showcase your collection by adding stickers to pictures that you already have in your camera roll. See the Profile tab on iOS. New stickers, cards, and figurines are released every day, including a surprise big new show coming soon. So yeah, definitely get on this. Okay, back to one of my favorite details in this episode. There's a little Easter egg hidden in this toxic world. You can just barely make out this guy. This is 8-Ball, a character from the series Gravity Falls. He was part of an evil crew from another dimension who tried to take over Gravity Falls in the Weirdmageddon storyline before getting banished to another unknown dimension. Now perhaps Rick came across 8-Ball at some point, like storing him as a toxic memory that ended up in this toxic world. Now Gravity Falls is created by Alex Hirsch, who's a friend of Justin Roiland. The two have actually referenced each other's shows in the past. And there's a theory that Rick and Morty and Gravity Falls are just parallel dimensions within the same animated universe. Remember, in the season premiere, there were cameos by Mabel and Dipper Mortys in the Citadel. Also, there was that Easter egg from Close Encounters of the Rick Kind when a few random objects flew out of the portal. Those were Grunkle Stan's mug and notepad that got sucked into a portal in Gravity Falls. Okay, moving on. I'm gonna make a quick aside here to point out the darkest moment of this episode. So last episode, the darkest moment was obviously when the alien kid shot his sister when the immortality field was down. And the darkest moment of this episode also featured extreme violence around kids. When the toxic beam wears off, really the people who were most harmed by this was a group of kids at a birthday party. Notice how they severed the head. This girl has a bat with silverware that she's swinging around, and blood is everywhere, even filling up the swimming pool. Okay, moving on again. As usual, this episode was packed with subversive sexual humor. Some obvious, some a little more sneaky. Seems like the creators love to hide these throughout episodes, kind of like hidden Mickeys in Disney properties. So taking some inspiration from the hidden Mickey search, let's run down all of these in Rick and Morty with a segment we're calling Hidden Dickies. So in the first line of the episode, Trisha's banter in the background's pretty gross.
I want that kind of love, like that docking kind of love. Oh yeah. Like penis in the foreskin kind of love, just like warm.
So yeah, docking is a sexual term, and I'm not gonna tell you to look it up. Just know that what Trisha just described is exactly what it is. And then the last line of the episode is a direct callback to this moment, and Trisha gets way grosser.
Have you ever been peed on before? Oh my god, yum.
I actually feel like both of these gross moments are a callback to that joke in Rixie Business. Remember when Tammy was having a similar X-rated conversation at the party?
I love watching Bukkake. I mean, like, I don't know if I personally would ever do it.
Ah yes, Bukkake. Again, maybe not something you need to Google. And not topics that teenage girls need to be discussing. missing. And that also goes for the other foreign sex term that Morty brings up later.
Hey, Rick, are you familiar with Benoit technology?
Morty is referencing Benoit balls. Now, I can't show you exactly how these are used. Just know that they roll around and go into things. And yeah, we're just gonna look over the fact that Stacy and Jacqueline are both grown women in sexual relationships with an underage boy. Another hidden Dicky, sort of here. These pursuing enemy ships from the opening adventure are clearly designed to look like sperm cells. And if you listen closely to these church shots when the toxic beam spreads over them and the orgy begins, Justin Roiland whispered some dirty talk and mixed it in the audio.
Honey, give it to me.
Lastly, listen to this random shuffle song that Morty plays on the radio.
Grab my Terry Folds.
This actually reminded me a lot of the nonsense lyrics of Get Swifty, but we actually hear a longer version of the song over the closing credits, and it starts to get super sexual.
You can grab my holdy folds, squeeze them tight. You son of a bitch, suck my holdy flappy folds, lick my flappy foldy holes, my terry flaps in your mouth. Suck my flaps, you piece of shit.
Okay, let's cleanse the palate with a few other fun details that I noticed from this episode. First, notice this exchange between the Ricks.
Come on, man. I've been trapped in your pussy brain for 70 years of delusions.
This is actually the first time we've gotten a range of Rick's age. He is now clearly in his 70s. Also, if you're looking at the background shelves of this episode, there's a few fun animation details. So let's see if we can find those with zoom in and enhance. In the living room, if you look closely at the framed family photos, Beth has taped a horse head over Jerry's face. So just like last episode, Beth is using her day job as a horse surgeon to distract from her divorce. And then zooming and enhancing in Morty's fancy New York flat, there's a framed cover of GQ magazine with Morty on the cover. And then after this great post-credit scene where Stacy finally gets freed from the toxic world on the top of this moon tower, there was this interesting controversy that came up in the moments after the episode. Adult Swim aired a commercial break bumper that read, "The writing on Game of Thrones 2011 to 2016. Ooh, burn. Yeah, some people were reading this as the show Rick and Morty dissing the writing on the past season of Game of Thrones. But to be clear, Justin Roiland and the show's Twitter accounts both confirmed this was not written by their staff. This came from someone who worked for the Adult Swim network. Roiland actually says he's a big fan of Game of Thrones. And I actually heard a rumor that he secretly recorded a voice cameo that was featured in one of the past episodes of Game of Thrones this season. I have actually been scouring the audio of every Game of Thrones episode this season, day and night, and no luck yet. But I have hope that I'll hear Mr. Poopy Butthole screaming during the dragon battle, or hear the faintest Mr. Meeseeks ooh-wee during the Frozen Lake battle. Anyway, please, viewers, help me find this. I will not sleep until I find it. Now, to me, healthy bro Morty has been one of the funniest incarnations of the character. But I'd like to know from you, which Morty has been your favorite? Remember, we've also seen Mortys like Lawyer Morty or Android Morty, Evil Morty. There's also this really fun pseudo form of Morty that I refer to as Rage Morty, like when he violently snapped in Look Who's Purging Now. Sound off on your favorites below in the comments. You can also tweet me directly at EA Voss or New Rockstars at New Rockstars. And remember, share this video with the hashtag #NewRickStars so that you can be eligible for that Funko Pop giveaway. And subscribe to this channel and check out all of our past breakdowns of Rick and Morty Season 3. Next week actually won't have a new episode, so keep an eye out the following week for our breakdown of Episode 7, the Ricklantis Mix-Up. And if you want to help us make more videos and reduce our dependency on other ways we have to make money, you can always contribute on a monthly level to New Rockstars on Patreon. Big thanks to all of our current donors. We love you guys, especially Kenny Smith. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.